Chapter 45. Dad Samuel returned home in the afternoon. They say word got out to all of Elizabeth City. When the Indians began arriving to join the colonists for breakfast and work, or bringing meat and corn to trade, they were met with muskets, swords, and axes. They were turned away before they could enter houses or pick up tools. There has been no attack on Elizabeth City today. Samuel looks around. "Where's Chowpoke?" he asks. "Virginia says he is going to slit his throat," Alice says, "so he left." Samuel glances from Alice to me. "You said that?" he asks. "He's an Indian too, you know," I say. "It's not as if he had the choice to disobey orders just because he has been your friend forever." "Is that who told you about the attacks?" Dad asks. I hesitate a moment. Chowpoke didn't become a traitor on purpose. And if I say he did, it could well mean his death at the hands of his own people. But I can't tell Da about the second sight, and I certainly don't want to start up witchcraft accusations here in our new home. "Yes, Chowpoke told me," I say. "I have spoken the truth. He told me with his touch." The sky has fallen. We don't dare travel, but messengers come to ask. They come to report on the dead and to count our dead, which we have none. 347 men, women, and children, almost a quarter of the colony's population, were massacred in one day. Captain Noose comes to check on us and to thank us for the warning that saved our settlement and the settlements close to us. He was able to get the warning to Newport News as well. "What about Jamestown?" Samuel asked warily. "How many dead there?" Captain Noose brightens for a moment. "An Indian youth, a boy who lives with Richard Pace at Pace's Pains, told him about the planned attack. Mr. Pace rode across the river to warn those at Jamestown Fort and the Glass House. In Jamestown, they turned away the attackers at the fort gates. There are no casualties in any of those places. Thanks be to God," Mom says. Samuel closes his eyes and lets out a shaky breath. Angela is safe. "What about Martin's 100? I ask. Captain Noose shakes his head. "Martin's 100 was one of the worst hit. Almost everyone is dead." I sit on a rock near the river, looking out at the water, thinking and remembering. I think of Bermuda, streaks of clay on his face, arms outstretched, doing the celebration dance the day the Glass House was almost ready. I hear footsteps behind me and turn to see Samuel. He folds his lanky legs and sits beside me. We are silent for a while, with only the swish of the river current and bird songs. Samuel reaches into a pocket, then holds his two fists out for me to choose. I touch his right hand, and when he opens it, I see the perfect skipping rock I'd given him for Bermuda. My eyes fill with tears. "Did we get the empty hand this time?" I ask. Samuel looks out at the river. "Isn't that the way it always is in life? Depending on how you see it, you always get the empty hand. And if you look the other way, you always get the prize." I hear my own voice in my head, but it's supposed to be fun every time. "I'm not having fun right now," I say. "But you will," Samuel says. "You will laugh again and you will be joyful. You will have your sisters and mother and father." He touches my chin and turns my face upward to him. "And you have me." I blink and tears run down my cheeks. He puts his arm around me and I lean against him. The river swishes by and the birds sing. So just to recap, so it sounds like Bermuda has died. Bermuda was one of her best friends. If you remember, he and Virginia are really the two, Bermuda was born in Bermuda and Virginia was born in Virginia, but they are some of the two original colonists in Jamestown that had been there for quite a while. And they had quite a connection. Over the next few weeks, we received more news about the state of the colony. The plantations and outposts have all been abandoned. The surviving colonists have moved back to Jamestown and the more central settlements. They are in shock. They are terrified for their life. And they are angry. Men have begun to organize retaliatory raids against Indian villages, killing and burning. We are at war. We received one piece of news that makes me feel the whole world has gone mad. Our military men, especially the high-ranking ones, are admiring Chief O's military strategy. They say he was brilliant for the way he planned the attack and bided his time, waiting for us to be completely comfortable with his tribe men living and working among us. They are impressed with the chief's military skills and hold him in high regard. War and skill in war is fascinating to them. One day, Samuel and I are working together to plant potatoes in our garden plot. Samuel digs a trench with the hoe, and I follow him, dropping seed potatoes with their long, ghostly sprouts into the trench. Do you think Chief O will get what he wants? I asked Samuel. Do you think people will clamor to leave on the ships that come this spring and he will be rid of us? Samuel shakes his head. They can clamor all they want. If they are still under contract to the Virginia Company of London, they have to stay. I look out at the land we have cleared, where tiny tobacco plants are sprouting. I look at our garden plot with turnip seedlings, peas reaching up the trellis, and dark green onion tips sticking through the ground. Do you think we will leave? I ask in a small voice. Mom and Dad's contracts are long over. Samuel leans on his hoe for a moment. With you around to tell us whenever someone's going to try to kill us? No, I think we'll stay. I give him a weak smile, but then my face drops. Maybe the prophecy can't be stopped. I say, this is our third war with the natives. I remember the words I have recited so many times. The third battle will be long and filled with bloodshed. My throat tightens. If this is the third battle from the prophecy, we will be at war for a long time. Samuel cuts at the soil with his hoe, deepening his trench. And if the prophecy is true, then Chief O will not get what he wants at all. Instead, it will be the end of his kingdom. By the end of this battle, the Powhatan kingdom will be no more. I shake my head. I think of Samuel's stories about when he lived with the Weros kayaks, how he played ball with the other boys. He had his hair shaved on one side and long on the other, so that his hair would not get in the way when he shot his bow and arrow. He says he looked more native than English in those days. I remember how he sat on reed mats with Captain Smith and Pocahontas and watched an exciting performance of dance and music by young tribal women and feasted with the tribe afterwards. I think of Pocahontas and her husband and young son in the village. I think of Nematah with his magical wings. I remember Sarah and her baby and Pipsco and his little sister. I think of Chowpoke and how he obviously did not want to carry out his part in the massacre. How could the vast Powhatan kingdom be no more? I wish we could have stayed at peace, I say.